Welcome back. Always an honor when we have time to sit down with the doctor, the professor, the Reverend Todd Friel. He's the executive director of Fortis Institute, and he is the host of Wretched TV and Radio. He's authored 5 books and produces over 24 Bible studies. His organization produces some of the great television programming that you see right here on the Dove TV network. He does have a website, fortisinstitute.org, and there's the picture of the landing site, and you can check that out. All the resources are available there. Are really amazing. fortisinstitute.org. Brother Todd, good to see you, friend. How are you?
You just set up our subject, and I don't think you even realize it. You just gave me all kinds of monikers and titles. Happen to be preaching through that section of Scripture in Matthew chapter 23, where Jesus warns, don't call anybody rabbi, leader, teacher, father. Look out for those, because God is our Father. Jesus is our leader, and we need to reject those titles. By the way, Perry, do you know what the term rabbi means?
Teacher.
I think I know what you're going to say. Teacher. It's literally, though, I believe, the great one. And the Pharisees, they wanted that title. They wanted honor. They wanted to sit at the premier spot inside of the synagogue where the Torah would be read. They wanted greetings in the marketplace. And they wanted to show people how religious they were. And Jesus totally undresses them and spends an entire chapter woeing them. And that segues us into our subject du jour, which is also the subject of the day. And that is the people that we saw on last Tuesday night in Washington, D.C., who are our leaders. They received an undressing from Donald Trump, just like Jesus absolutely exposed the hypocrisy of the religious leaders, the Pharisees, the hypocrites. I think the exact same thing happened on Tuesday. That was an exposing of the heart of the individuals who are progressive and liberal. Perry, it was great theater, wasn't it? Watching it, it was like, oh, this is just great TV. Can you give me some of this every night? This is real. And it was just raw. And I found myself getting just hotter and hotter as I was watching it. This group of people who so hate not just Donald Trump, but conservative policies, anything that is Bible related, anything that is commonsensical. They wouldn't stand up for it, including people who had lost their children, a young boy who had brain cancer and was there being celebrated, and they couldn't get up. I got to tell you, I see that, Perry, and I ask myself the question, is it time for us to woe a group of people that are it's sheer evil? That it's maybe time that we start petitioning the Lord, please do something about this. This is wickedness in high places. And it's just, I found it to be so, well, disgusting. I thought, is it maybe time for imprecatory prayers again?
To your point there, I think a lot of people are asking the question, why couldn't they stand for some obvious things or clap for some obvious things? They obviously were given a memo to sit on your hands and shut up and only wave a paddle. And the peer pressure to do that is probably unlike anything we would ever experience. But it was also the canceling of the human soul.
Oh.
It just kind of like, it just canceled not only logic, but morality and decency. It was just all canceled. It was just wiped off the map.
You know, in fairness, if we're going to be somewhat accurate with our history, I'm not sure either side could throw a stone regarding decorum. You know, we saw some of that in the yelling and what have you. Well, that's happened from both, but this was different. This was, I'm willing to pretend that something important, humanly important, is happening here and recognize it, because I'm so opposed to anything that isn't on my party list. And that's why I'm telling you, Perry, look, we all listen to the litany of accomplishments, most of which were just basically the stroke of a pen, which means they'll only last 4 years. Nevertheless, we celebrate all of those things. But at the same time, I have to confess, without just being a total wet blanket on this, it's like we celebrate and applaud that the president had to sign a piece of paper that said there's only 2 genders. What? Wait, how did we need that? We are so detached from reality. We need an executive order to tell us there's only a pink and a blue. So I see and hear all of those accomplishments, and believe me, I'd much rather have those than the auto pen accomplishments of the last administration. But I got to tell you, Perry, it doesn't change what's going on in this country. I mean, okay, here, this is my radio desk, by the way. This is, see that? Mm-hmm. This is thicker than the Nixon folders. These are all okay. This is from the Mirror in Great Britain. I'm the UK's first man to fall pregnant naturally, and I want more kids. Whew. Legislation isn't going to change this thinking. We have a worldview problem that goes so much deeper than politics. So at the moment, I want to be like, okay, good, some good things are happening, but I don't want to be naive and think it is going to correct the much deeper systemic problem, which is a problem of the heart.
Wow. Hey, by the way, if I can go just sidebar for a moment, how I read an article that, you know, your mentor, John MacArthur, has gone through a lot. He's been in the hospital, he's out, but he said something the other day that kind of put my brain on tilt, and that was, he said, I'm on my last lap.
Yeah, right.
What did he mean by that?
Yeah, well, he's 85 years old, and he was quite strong up until a couple of years ago, still preaching strongly, voice was strong. And his heart, he had heart issues, so he'd been in and out of the hospital with different surgeries. This last one, he was in for 7 weeks. He survived the hospital. He says he feels good, but he's weak. And so he prepared a video for the Shepherds Conference, which takes place every year, because he just didn't have the strength to attend it himself. He wanted to send a message to the fellows who were there. And it was pretty poignant. If you've been following John MacArthur's ministry for the last 55 years, it has been staggeringly prolific, and he's saying, I'm on my last lap. The prize is near. And it does raise some questions, though, about life and death. There's a lot of us who are going to be sad at the passing of a guy, a giant like John MacArthur. Now, whether he's your theological stripe or not, you have to admit, look at the laundry list of accomplishments of this guy. Grace to You, the radio ministry, his commentary set, all of the books. How's about the Master's Seminary, the Master's University, the Master's Academy International? It's like, wow! And we might find ourselves thinking dualistically, which would be an error. We might think, well, there's a guy that's going to be really rewarded because of all of the stuff that he did that was religious. And that's a category error. It's not just religious stuff that gets rewarded. God rewards all of your labors if, 1 Corinthians 3 and 4, you're doing them rightly, biblically, accurately, faithfully, with the right motivation. So we can look at a life of like somebody like John MacArthur, and we can be quite in awe of what God did through him. But it should also remind us, hey, you don't have to be doing religious things to have God's favor and receive rewards from God. Now, that's dualism, which is actually what my next book is about. Thanks for bringing it up, Harry.
And that is?
It's actually called Lord Overall. It's in the editing process. It won't be out till next year. But it's designed to try to help us think that it's not religion and then the rest of life. It's not sacred and secular. For the Christian, because you are a priest, you hold the keys of the kingdom. Everything that wherever you go, you bring Christian with you. Now, it's not like Paula White claiming that wherever she walks, it's now sacred ground. But it is to say that you are a priest. So anything you put your hands to, it becomes a Christian activity. Not because the activity is religious, but because you are a priest. And that means life is colored, and it's full of an understanding of how everything operates, and it brings purpose. And it brings such fulfillment to life when you recognize there's no distinction between sacred and secular. So all that to say, John MacArthur is on his last lap, and he's a man who is at least still on the track, and he is running the race to the end, and he wants to do what the Puritans would call dying well.
One last question before I take a break kind of fits into all of this, and that is, here we are 6, 7, 8 weeks into a new administration. A lot of changes are happening, a total reversal of where we've been. You can go down that road and you can check good, bad, indifferent. But at the end of the day, I've noticed that the anxiety level in America hasn't lessened.
No, because it can't. Because even a good economy can't remove that. A bad economy, it only can expose what's already in your heart. The only one who can actually calm the heart is the one who stilled the seas, and that is God. That's his role. And any time we think that the economy, the political climate, an election is our pacifier, it's our support dog, it's not going to deliver. Only God can bring that. So you're right with. And we want to find I don't want to be like, oh, all of these things that are going on that we kind of like, who cares about them? Well, they do mean something, but they don't mean everything. And they don't mean the important things. And they don't mean that you can listen to all of the accomplishments of the first 40 some days, but that won't change one person's eternity. You and I are the ones who know the message that will change somebody's eternity. So let's be glad, but let's stay on the track and keep running the race because people need to hear the gospel.
What we saw with in the speech Tuesday night when the Democrats pretty much sat on their hands, I know this sounds political and I don't want it to be, because my point is this. It appears there's something really biblical going on here. Oh. And that is, what was done in darkness is now being exposed to the light, and they can't take it. And I don't know if in our own hearts and minds, Todd, if we thought it was this bad. We thought maybe it was superficial, but it was much deeper and worse than we thought, right?
Oh, this is worldview. This has been a battle in the heavenly places all along. It always has been, by the way. I mean, but it's devolving and devolving. The further away people get from God, the further away they get removed from the light, the darker their thinking becomes. And honestly, that very same day, they couldn't pass a piece of legislation that a grown man shouldn't participate on the girls' volleyball team. I mean, like, what in the world? Well, this is Romans 1. This is a depraved mind, and we haven't reached the bottom of the barrel yet, by the way. There's still room down there, and I think that we're going to continue to see that because that is not going to go away with the stroke of a pen. It's deep, Perry. It's very religious, which is why, okay, be involved in politics. You keep watching Hannity if you want to, but we need to be engaged in the business of the church, because if we think that a nation without Christian underpinnings can stand long, we're deceived.
All right, let me take a break. When we come back, I know that you're very involved in campus activities, and there seems to be some interesting statistics coming out. Even George Barn is now writing about it, that there seems to be a genuine seeking of maybe reality, truth, what's authentic. We'll get into that. All right, FortisInstitute.org, that's the website. Check it out. There you can check out everything that Todd is involved in, except for getting a shave and a haircut. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Welcome back. Always a joy and an honor to have with us Todd Friel. He is the executive director of Fortis Institute, the host of Wretched TV and Radio, both that you see here on the Dove Television Network, author of books. And you go to FortisInstitute.org. There's a picture of the landing page. Now, I know I make fun of your beard and your haircut there, Todd, but you do look very professor-like.
Do I?
Kind of like your high-end academia, intellectual, kind of serious.
I'm going to get the patches on the elbow and just complete the whole look.
Okay, a little C.S. Lewis, Charles Spurgeon type.
Oh, man.
The only thing lacking is the pipe and the cigar.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Let me tell you those things I don't understand those things. Hey, I know you want to get to something else, and I don't mean to commandeer your program. Did you cover the studies that have come up, big studies? Trans surgeries increase risk of mental health conditions and suicidal ideations. This is important because we keep being told, hey, if you don't let these people go under the knife and take all kinds of medication that is going to be very bad for their bodies, you're evil because they're going to take their own lives. Well, it turns out that those people who get the surgeries actually have higher rates of suicidal ideations, which shouldn't surprise us. We're dealing with people who need help. They don't need a medical professional to use their skills to mutilate their bodies. They need help. And this narrative that we're the one who are killing trans people, sorry, let's trust the science.
Well, that was highlighted a little bit when Charlie Kirk was being interviewed by Governor Newsom. They got into this a little bit. And Newsom's response was exactly what you were saying. Should we feel sorry for these people and have a place? Look, at the end of the day, this transgender movement and LGBTQ, we're dealing with broken children. Yeah. And if we don't understand that, then you fall into the sympathy trap and giving them what they think they want and need, and that's the problem.
Yeah, that's one of the lessons too. We're preaching through Matthew at Alpharetta Bible Church. And we see Jesus willing to confront people with the truth. With the Pharisees, we would look at that today and go, well, that's not loving. How dare you woe them? How can you call them whitewashed tombs? Well, they were, and his heart, even though the Bible doesn't say the tone in this particular chapter is one of a broken heart, but the text, I think, leans that way. When we hear him say, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, that's a broken-hearted plea. Come to your senses. Woe to you, Pharisee. How will you escape the judgment? He wanted them to hear truth, and he was willing to confront them with the truth. And in our age, we are reticent to do that. And honestly, that's wrong. It is not loving. It's not loving to go along with a lie, especially a lie that, hey, we just saw it right here. It's actually hurting people, which we knew all along.
So young people seem to be waking up on their own, if I could put it that way. There seems to be, they've run out of gas of everything they've been told. It's not turning out to be what they've been told. They're now waking up that they've been lied to. The statistics don't support what they've been told. And they're on a genuine search for authenticity and truth. Are we prepared to capitalize on this?
Boy, I wish we were, Perry. I got to do a shout out. If you are a good Bible teaching church and you are near a university campus, honestly, I fear you might be negligent and derelict in your duties if you do not send people to that campus every single week. I am telling you from experience, I'm telling you from talking to other people, and I'm telling you from going to these campus revivals that presumably that we are seeing. Kids are hungry on the campus. They want to talk about these things. They want to engage on a higher level. They have seen the bankruptcy of secular humanism. They know it doesn't work. Many of them, furthermore, went to university and they thought they were going to be fine, but before you know it, and it took about a minute, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. By the way, I just heard that the president of a university, I want to make sure this is secondhand, although he actually heard it, nevertheless, at a major university in the South, got up and stood before the freshmen and said, just to let you know, if you came here and you're religious, we are going to try to break you down. We are going to try to challenge everything that your parents told you so that you can formulate your own worldview. How dare they? Whoa. And that's what's going on university campuses. And the kids, unfortunately, they tumble into it. They stumble, and these Christian kids, they mar their consciences. They're walking away from the faith of their family, and they know it's out of sorts. And we've got to get there. And I'm telling you, the kids will talk. Furthermore, the kids will congregate. Invite them to an event. That's what we're going to be doing. That's our next initiative here, Perry. Well, one of our next initiatives. we're going to go to university campuses, and we're going to do different events. One of the events will be for that aforementioned group. Hey, you're a Christian, but your conscience is killing you because you've been doing stuff you know you shouldn't be doing, and you're trying to sort out your Christian faith. Come, let's talk about it. Second, you got emotional issues? Come, let's talk about it with Dr. Greg Gifford. You're a young man and you're confused and you're thinking maybe Andrew Tate ain't the guy I should be emulating. Come, Dr. Adam Tyson, we're going to do a presentation for you, and it'll be gospel saturated. Dr. Jason Lyle, another one of our fellows. You want to talk about origins, creation, evolution? Let's do that, and we can do it. Perry, the good news is it doesn't need to be, you know, you see those videos on the YouTube machine where the conservative person comes to campus and just scalds the progressive punk, makes him sorry that he ever stood up to a microphone. And I know it gets lots of views. I don't think it's necessary, because I am fully persuaded the kids want to hear from somebody who is kind and yet firm in their beliefs, they're convictional, and they have a source of authority. We've got all of those things. Let's get to the campuses, y'all.
Will this take place on or off campus, Todd?
On campus.
Really?
What we're doing, yeah, if you're a church and you've got a ministry on campus already, or you're a campus ministry, we are going to engage good local churches, not bad ones, good ones, because that's important. We've been seeing some of these revivals on the campuses, Perry, and some of them are better, some of them are worse, some of them are a mixture, because we actually went to one in Kentucky to kind of observe what this thing is all about. And in that particular one, good news, even though there was kind of a mess theologically with a bunch of stuff, the gospel was clearly proclaimed, and then they baptized people. And I know we see that and rejoice, and I wouldn't want to become kind of a jerk about this, but I think the baptism should take place in the context of a local church. And I just think that's a more biblical, better place. We can't make a law where there is no law. So we want to engage local churches and have them participate with us. So if you got a campus ministry, send an email to us. Dalton is handling it. He's in the office over there. Dalton at fortisinstitute.org. And we'll come. We pay for everything. We want to talk to the students on your campus.
Oh, that's beautiful. Do you think what's happening at Columbia University, with the turnaround of the anti-Semitism there, maybe not. I mean, withholding $400 million gets a lot of people's attention. But the point is, anti-Semitism is one thing. What about anti-Christianity?
It's rampant. It's rampant in some circles, but I'm telling you, there is a bit of a cultural shift. We're seeing that, I think, manifested. Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, academics that are talking about, favorably Christianity. Now, I reject their approach because they're looking at it merely from a cultural standpoint. And even Richard Dawkins saying, I'm a cultural Christian because, hey, I kind of like the benefits of Christianity. But as Os Guinness would say, you separate believing the faith from the effects of the faith, and you got to cut flour and it won't produce the harvest that you're after.
All right, fortisinstitute.org, that's the website that pretty much brings together all the things that Todd is involved in. You can see the array of them there, all those panels there. There's a lot going on there at their institute and continues to grow and go. More programming coming out, more apologetics at different levels. I don't know when you're sleeping.
You know what? My strength is in my hair and beard.
Okay, Samson.
And mighty was his fall.
I'm going to send you a coupon, Samson, just to save you the embarrassment. How's that?
I need one. Believe me, I know.
All right, good to see you, buddy. God bless you, pal.
Love you guys at the Dove.
Okay.